Okay, so we're going to do the second of the pass criteria tasks now, and that's to create a query. The reason why you would create a query in Microsoft Access is because, as you'll notice from this great big table in front of you, there are loads and loads of individual records of information. And if you wanted to find out everyone who had a complaint, for example, who actually made a complaint, that would be indicated by a yes. And if you notice, this is a relatively small database table. There is one or two yeses, but the majority are no's. To save you looking through the entire sheet and potentially getting it wrong, there is actually a way, similar to Excel in some respects, of actually looking specifically for information and then presenting it in a certain format. And that's what we're going to do here. This is called doing a query. Okay, now then. Your database table looks like this. To open up a query, there's several ways of doing it. You could go to Create, and then you could go to Query Design. You could also go to All Access Objects, Queries, and there's no way of doing it there. There always used to be, but now it's changed. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to Create, go to Query Design, click on Add, click on Close. Now this is quite tricky, this bit, so you'll need to look at what this is showing you. You double left click on the heading of the table, so it says TBL Survey. You then move your mouse to the top word title, left click so it takes it down to where it says Field. What you need to then do is untick all of the following: house number, road, town, postcode, store, juicing delivery, event planning, and you're just leaving complaint up. Now, when you're doing a search of information, you need to make sure you specify what's called a criteria. In the same way that if you go to Google and you want to find something, you have to type in keywords which then form the criteria of the search you're trying to do. And by that I mean, if you go on Google and type in, I don't know, Wayne Rooney and Manchester United, for example, that will narrow down your search using keywords specific to a thing you're looking for. So that forms your criteria for your search. The criteria for the search we're going to do is to try and find people who had a complaint. Here. Now, if you notice, it doesn't have to be in capitals, and when we have pressed enter, notice what Excel does to it. It puts a capital on the end of it. So what we're going to do is click on Run now. Notice that this brings this into a completely different format, i.e. it's your query results. So let's just drag it out a bit. Now what we've got is all the people who made a complaint. And if you'll notice, you can see it there. So that's Design View. This is what's called Form View. And the idea is that once you've found that information, you could then do something with it called creating a form, which would then make it look much more presentable. But we're not going to come on to that in this particular tutorial. This particular tutorial was simply to do with making sure that you had created a query with a specified criteria. Now, if you wanted to create a query, which is not the easiest thing in the world to say, and to make sure that the surnames were in alphabetical order, just by pure chance this is actually in alphabetical order, but nevertheless, imagine these weren't in alphabetical order, you could then quite easily put it in alphabetical order by doing this. Where it says salt, and it's not of the earth, just in case you're wondering, click on the arrow downwards and go to ascending. And when you run it, look what happens. It's surname in reverse alphabetical order. If you wanted to put it into descending alphabetical order, it would run it in the way that we originally had. Okay, so two ways of making sure that you've got a query done. The first one brings up this like this. The second one brings it up in a different format. All you need to do is make sure that you've followed the guide, put the criteria in, run it in design view, and get the results looking like that. Once you've done that, click on File and Print, and print it off, because what you'll need to do is print off the query and then write on this query, I have created a query to find everyone who had a complaint, and that is pass criteria for Unit 1 ao6.